So go ahead and just roll forward and back. Try to keep the knee at about 90. So bring it under, and you're using the weight of the leg on that ball. Okay, just like that. And she'll just kind of roll it around to where she finds the sore spots, and we'll kind of go out and then back toward the heel. It's the same treatment we use for plantar fasciitis as well as for the neuromas. Okay. Now, with the plantar fasciitis, remember that's not a problem with the foot. Where is the problem with plantar fasciitis?
Arch.
Way up high. Where is it? It's in the brain, remember? And we talked about how if I have a sense of a posterior fall, my toes are going to be gripping the ground, and I'll develop the plantar fasciitis. So what do we want? Is a perception of a forward fall, and a forward fall is the eyes moving upwards, so we use the little red and white or blue and white strip going from down up to create a superior gaze, and we'll eliminate the plantar fasciitis pain in one visit. Okay, so that's really cool. So it's not a foot problem, it's a brain problem. Right? So plantar fascial pain is not a foot problem, it's a manifestation of a brain posture. Okay? Just like this. If a person comes in and they're walking like this, okay, it's not because it was Halloween last night. Right? This is actually a posture of brain. It's a stroke, right? So this posture is an indication of the quality or condition of brain. If we can change the brain, we can change the posture of the body. The same thing with the plantar fascial pain. The pain in the foot is actually a posturing of the brain, and if we change the brain's posture, we change then the foot posture or position, right? So again, if I feel like I'm falling backward, my toes are going to grasp the ground strongly, try to bring me forward, that's a problem with brain. We'll actually create then a superior gaze, because as I'm falling backward, I have an inferior gaze. The exercise is a superior gaze, right? Which is the opposite. If I develop if I develop shin splints, then I have a strong sense of an anterior fall, so I'm pushing myself backwards, so then the gaze will be opposite, right? So if I have a forward fall, I have a superior gaze. The exercise is to actually then create a downward gaze, right? Kind of fascinating, I think. Now, so she's gone the back and forth. Now we'll have her grip the ball with her toe, keep her heel on the floor, turn the foot inward as if she's going to touch it in. That's it. Good. And then touch down and then out. That's it. It's perfect. Okay. Might be just a little bit big for her, but she'll actually get to where she can do that. And even just trying to grasp it right there is actually an exercise. Now look though. Observe how she'll start to sit up more and more straight as she's trying to engage that foot. Okay? When we were just sitting here before, it's kind of this.
Oh, I was never like that.
No.
You have no video proof of that.
But the more that she'll engage her foot, you'll actually see that the stronger the foot gets, the more tone then the spine starts to manifest as it activates the multifidi muscles of the spine. Okay? So for those of you who have back pain, back surgery pending, engage the feet. Fix the feet first as we prepare then to fix the spine. Okay? Really a great exercise right there. Now, as soon as she's done, walk again and just see how that foot feels compared to the opposite foot. It's different.
It totally is different.
Totally different. Okay? Kind of neat though, and it's really that simple. Okay? And that's a fix. Yeah, let's fix the left foot for you, not let you go hillbilly out of here.
What would happen if you didn't fix both feet?
She would know it. So the question is, what would happen if we don't fix both feet? She wouldn't leave. Really. I mean, but she can actually start to engage her foot by using this, and eventually she'd work it out just by doing this, because you're rocking this back and forth, you're actually engaging those metatarsal tarsal-metatarsal joints, and you'll engage that foot to the point where you're getting movement again. Okay? And that's why it's such a staying exercise. We want them to do something that's going to be engaging and fixing, curative, restorative. Okay? So let's just again assess here. So you see the movement inward, we compare it to the outward, limited on the out, so we're going to engage the outward. Then we'll come back and check the range of motion here in the metatarsal tarsal joints. Very, very limited there and tender. Okay? You can even see it in the eyes. You come back to this one. Yeah.
That's the one.
That's the one. So we'll fix that again from the bottom up. and then we'll fix the foot and make that correction for her. Okay, so give you that.
Forever, or for just now?
Just for that.
You keep doing that.
That's my traveling ball. Do you have one? You don't have a golf ball?
No, but I'll get one.
What happened to the one that your great-great-grandfather carried across the plains?
Yeah, when golf was so popular. Foot up and down 4 times.
Question,
Please.
those foot massage machines
Good.
you put on the floor and you
Uh-huh.
can put the heat on them or
Uh-huh.
heat,
Huh?
are they doing any good like what you're doing there?
Okay, so the question is, there are some different massaging type of machines. And really, again, we're in this case, if we put a whole foot on this, we're not going to get the same response, right? This is very specific to a joint. It'll feel good. The other key is how much activity is there in the massage, the foot massage. It'll feel good, but really we need to do something proprioceptive, facilitative, and active to strengthen the muscles. So yeah, it feels good. And then after you're done doing that, then do this little exercise as well. Okay? And then after you're done doing that, put your feet on the massager again. Okay, that'll feel good. Good. Foot up and down as we go to the second again. Yep. One more time. That's it. Thank you. Any question as we're going through this now? Because unfortunately, this is just kind of the watch and learn instead of the experience. Does anybody else have a question as we're going through this?
If you break a bone in your foot and it's pinned, how does that affect? I mean, can you still do all these exercises and will your foot still work?
So the question is, if the foot's been broken and now it's pinned, has the fracture healed first? Okay, so there we go. That's what we want to evaluate and assess. And we actually need to look at other things on this. So I'm going to pull your foot, so just be ready for that.
He's just pulling your leg bar over.
Yeah. With a foot contact. That actually looks
Are you sure?
good. Yes. Good. That's that. Walk again, see what you think.
My low back feels better actually.
Does it really?
Yeah, just from that. I mean, not just obviously that makes sense, but mine's like a Jenga. Apparently, you get something right every now and then.
So really fun, okay? And if she'll do those exercises, then for both feet, do that daily. I'd suggest twice a day, 21 times moving in and out. I like that for the feet. It's just as a good number. A lot of people who have a little desk time, set them underneath your desk and just let them sit there and just periodically reach down and have 2 little golf balls and just work those feet. Great exercise. Very, very stimulating and very, very activating for brain and posture. If you find yourself at a desk job and you're, my goodness, I can't hardly get through the monotony of this. If you'll just do that simple exercise, you'll find that you'll even start to engage brain. Breathe strongly in through your nose and then slowly out through your mouth as you're doing that. If you do that, you're really starting to tie again sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous systems together, and which is very, very healing again for body and posture. Okay, which again will give that little cowboy a ride. Okay.
And I'm killing myself with these types of shoes, huh? Probably. Yeah, it's probably making it worse. Even though it makes my back feel better.
What we need to do is fix your feet
Right.
to fix your back, and then you'll start to find that some corrective shoes become less effective, right? You'll start to find something that feels better for you. Okay?
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
So is bare feet excellent? Is that the best?
So the question is, are bare feet the best? I think so.
Yes.
I mean, I love my bare feet, right?
Even on
So those
concrete and our
flip-flops
floors?
that you can
So
wear.
the second question then is, even on floors that are hard, if it's a concrete floor, I would suggest, due to tolerance. Meaning, if you have really good tone in your feet, and you have really good strength in your muscles and muscular tone, you should be able to walk on that surface for a period of time. But if you find that it becomes uncomfortable or unbearable, then I would suggest something that would give it some relief. You do want to protect your feet still, okay? But you'll notice a lot of the runners now are running in those little
Those feet shoes.
Yeah,
Rubber
feet-looking
toes.
shows,
Doesn't it
right?
correct your stride as well to
It
be more
can,
barefoot?
it does, because it allows all of those muscles in the feet to engage the spine, which is postural. Okay? If you're fighting your natural gait and you're trying to run against your natural gait, you're not healing. So the answer is yes. As much as you can, be in your natural body, if you will.
Are
Okay?
flip-flops bad?
Flip-flops can be really bad. Okay, if you're having to squeeze your toe on to hold it on, but if you've got good tone in your feet, I've seen people hike in flip-flops. You know, crazy as it may seem. I would not suggest hiking in Lake Powell or Moab, any on the Red Rocks barefoot. I mean, you just cook your feet. There was an unwise Boy Scout who, against the will of his scoutmaster, said, "Oh no, I've got tough feet. I'm going on this trip barefoot." And by the time they got back, he had sloughed from the heat. He blistered the whole soles of his feet. And by the time they got back to the boat, the poor kid was crawling on his hands and knees because he literally peeled all of the skin from his feet from just the heat. So, I mean, be sensible, right? Let's not go to 120-degree red sandstone and go for a 3-mile walk.
The mission field,
Sidewalk in Dallas during
we had
August.
a basketball team that played the Chinese kids.
Yeah.
On the team was a Hawaiian kid,
Uh-huh.
never wore shoes.
Yeah.
Played basketball on concrete, 90-degree weather.
Yeah.
His feet were so tough, thick.
Yeah. But again, that's what he's accustomed to, right? You're not going to take a kid who's wearing gym shoes day in and day out. He takes his shoe off and there's no callus at all, and he's going to go walk on 90-degree concrete. That's a problem. Any other question on that, please?
One of the common injuries that Bob Walker talks about is flat foot,
Uh-huh.
from injury to the subtalar tendon.
Correct.
And then he recommends orthotics, and I wore orthotics for 4 or 5 years, and I had it for quite a while. But when you have that, basically what he says is that subtalar tendon can heal.
Okay. So there are some researchers that are saying tendons can't heal. Tendons are dependent though on muscles. Okay? So if I stretch my bicipital tendon where it inserts, the bicep won't work as efficiently, but if I can get the bicep to strengthen up and restore the tone, remember the Golgi tendon organ inside of that tendon is essential to how much tone is actually in that muscle. So if a tendon has been injured or is lax, I think we have to come back to what moves the tendon and where does the tendon insert. So if we have the bone in the right position and we have the correct tone in the muscle, we can restore tone to the tendons by activating the different Golgi tendon organs and reflex responses in the spine. That's my opinion.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's not like it was torn completely off.
No, if it's avulsed, if you have an avulsed tendon, you have it. I mean,
That's a whole
if you have a
different
bicep tendon that's torn from your shoulder and your bicep sets down in your elbow, it's not going to work the same, right? So absolutely. I mean, that's a completely different scenario. So the question and the statement is, there are some researchers who are saying, if you've injured your foot and you have a stretching of a tendon in the bottom of the foot, you're going to have to be in orthotics the rest of your life. I disagree with that because unless the tendon is completely torn from the bone, there are some amazing organs specifically designated to determine tone in the muscle and also inside of the tendon itself to protect that. It will stay lax until the muscle corrects itself. So do an exercise. You may need to be an orthotic for a season. Okay? It'd be like a cast or something to split, but I don't think it becomes permanent. Now those people that I said, there are a couple of people that I've recommended orthotics to. A couple of those have been, one was a fellow who had run so much that he had completely destroyed the ligaments in his foot to the point that he had collapsed. Okay? And his whole foot had actually collapsed. But he just had such a runner's high, he would run through the pain and just keep running. So he had actual destruction of the ligaments and bone. All right? So in that case, we had to arch and support. And then we put a child in a temporary orthotic, and temporary because he was growing so rapidly that he had knock knees with pain on the medial aspects of the joints. we had to actually fix the feet, and he had to do exercises to eliminate the pain. But those are also a temporary orthotic. Okay, and the recommendation in that case was actually surgical release of the knees and a shaving of the tibial plateau to straighten the legs.
And one last question.
Okay.
And I haven't been to one of Bob Walker's courses for a long time.
Okay.
But he was very critical of a lot of our shoes that do not allow any type of rotation at all.
Okay.
And then we're weight bearing, and our calcaneus is not allowed to spring.
Correct.
You end up getting locked into that ankle position. So, I used work boots with Vibram soles that had the hobnails bent over with a little layer of plastic on them.
Right.
That was 30 years ago.
Right.
15 years ago. No. But anyway, are there better? What about, shoe? What type of shoes would you recommend?
Okay, so the question is, what type of shoe would we recommend? And my recommendation as far as shoes go are what makes you feel good. Okay, I'm not a shoe salesman, I'm not a pillow salesman, I'm not a mattress salesman. So a lot of people say, what do you suggest sleeping on? I sleep so well on a waterbed. When I first got into this, I thought, oh, don't ever sleep on a waterbed. And then I'd have patients come in, I can't sleep on anything but a waterbed. So my recommendation is sleep on what you get the best sleep on. If you sleep on a board and you sleep great, sleep on a board, right? If you're from some island and you sleep on a dirt floor or a sand floor with just a little bit of a mat underneath you in the dirt, sleep on it if you can sleep. But if you come to me and say, I sleep best on a waterbed, sleep on it. If you sleep best on it, the most important thing is that you get sleep. As far as your shoes go, if you're sticking your foot into a shoe and you cannot wait to get your foot out of that shoe, chances are that shoe isn't best for you, right? If you are wearing a shoe that's too small, everyone's experienced what too small a shoe, oh yeah, it was a great deal, right? It's half off. And it's a half size too small, but I can wear it just for one evening. That was the only evening I'll ever wear that shoe. But you know what that feels like compared to the one that you go in, you get fit, and you don't sit with the guy at Kenny Shoes anymore. Welcome Kenny Shoes. Hey, let's measure your foot. Check these out. This is what I'd recommend. We go in and we say, I like that one or that one. And he says, okay, what size? And he brings them out and you say, that one feels better than that one, but it still feels terrible. I'm going to take it though because it looks better. And that's a lot of times what we choose. Same thing with oral health. I mean, we don't talk about what's best for our mouth. We talk about what looks best, right? I'm not taking out that front tooth. That's right in my smile. What do I look like? Doggone hillbilly. Which I am.
Isn't it best too to kind of rotate your shoes and your footwear so that you're constantly activating?
Exactly. That's what we're saying. So again, then the question there is it best to rotate your shoes? And the answer is absolutely. We don't want the one size fits all, the mold to become, literally mold growing as your foot fits to the mold because you're always wearing the same one.
So that's licensed to shoe shop. Right?
That's licensed to shoe shop. So tonight we've got the 21-day vacation toes in the sand with the license to shoe shop.
Glad I came to this one.
Yep. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Sterling, have a great night. Let's go with the last question from Renee, and then I'll show one more example afterwards. You're welcome to stay or go. I know the late's getting kind of late. The evening's getting a little
Have
late.
you addressed flat-footedness? I don't know whether I missed it or.
Okay, so the question is then, what about flat-footedness? Flat foot is only a problem if it's creating pain. Okay? So again, the islanders, most of the Polynesians have a very flat foot, but they have a very strong foot. Okay? And the stronger the feet, then the less that we need to worry about then the collapsing of the arches if there is still tone in the arch. Even though the arch may be flat in the Polynesian foot, it's not necessarily that it's so much flat, it may be that the muscle and the callus in there is that thick, right? I mean, you've got that much flesh in there, it'll appear flat, but it may not be that necessarily it's even flat. That may be the constitution of the foot. Now, if the foot has been damaged, for example, a guy who skydives and comes landing really hard and breaks the bones in his feet, stretches every tendon, tears every ligament, and now he's flat-footed, yeah, he might need to wear an orthotic. Okay, that might be a flat foot. Sometimes when you see, though, a familial predisposition for falling or collapsing of an arch, and there ends up developing then this big callus or an irritation over that inside of the arch, over the navicular, that may be something that we need to correct for a period of time.
I have a couple of young grandchildren that the parents are concerned because they don't like eat it right flat.
But if the foot is not in pain and it does not appear to be, so that the statement again was, some of the parents who have flat-footed children, is that a concern? If there is pain, or if there is potentially a deformation or a loss of tone or integrity in the kinematic chain, meaning from the feet to the ankle, from the ankle to the knee and the hip, okay? And you'll see it a lot in young women where their hips will start to grow wider, then the femur angle comes inward and they end up having real weak knees and pain in the knees, and they'll come back out and then be kind of flat-footed that way, okay? So in some of those cases, we may want to look at those and just assess them correctly. So in that case, we say, look to whomever it is that your physician or your pediatrician is and get some recommendations there, because sometimes that can lead to a change in those angles, and that kinematic chain up in higher joints may have some problems later on, okay? So yeah, but we do want to maintain the strength. If the strength is there, then usually you'll form correctly as well, okay? How many of you have ever seen the little children with the bowed legs? You see how their little shins will start to rotate out, but then their knee will be here, and then their little heels will come inward. You've seen that little bowed legged appearance. I've actually seen that in children. That's very, very common. Remember, in studies, bone weakness is a condition called rickets, right? Rickets in cattle is directly correlated with the lack of vitamin D. Well, so is it with children in their developmental years. And if you see a child that's starting to walk, and then he's become toddler, and you still see that real bowed tibia or a real cowboy leg, okay, give them vitamin D, and I've actually seen them straighten. Those little legs will actually straighten in just a matter of weeks. I mean, it's really fascinating. You'll see them just whoop, go super straight and strong. It's pretty neat to see.
I was one of those